साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Jnaneshwari, chapter 10, verse number 10. Here, in the 9th verse, the Lord had said, where are we? Matchitta madgada prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. It was said, with their mind and life centered on me, extolling me to one another and constantly conversing about me, they find solace and rejoice. Who are these? Mad Bhakta. Who are these? Devotees of mine. So what is that? Mat Chitta, each word is a contemplative word here. We didn't see that part, we just saw the commentary. Mat Chitta is, Chit is consciousness. When does consciousness become, when in that consciousness, as if a doubt arises, it becomes chitta, it becomes mind. Chit plus ta is equal to chitta. So what is chit? Consciousness. What is chitta? Mind. What is this ta that has been added to chit, the consciousness? It is that doubt, a sense of otherness. See? Okay. And who is the Lord? Who is the Lord? Who cannot be caught by the mind? Who is the consciousness himself, isn't it? So here, who are these people who have, see here we are not talking about pure consciousness. Here the point that is being made is, we are not talking about attributeless, formless reality. Here they are talking about, Krishna is telling about those people who accept that reality in some way with which they can relate. See, we relate with scriptures, we relate with Mahatmas, we relate with pictures of gods, and we feel, kuch hai, hai na? But you give someone, nahi, there is nothing. What do you mean by there is nothing? There must be something. What do you mean that all this that I have studied for so long and come across from childhood, I have been seeing the image of Lord Rama or Dattatreya or this, all that it means nothing. No, it means nothing. Becomes a big problem. So who are these devotees? With their mind and life centered on me. So this consciousness which is having a doubt, what was the doubt about? Who am I? This is the doubt. They don't know who they are. That's why they are searching. And they have focused their mind on the Lord himself. And how they have focused their mind on the Lord? Without any doubt, with full faith. See, two things. We may hear stories, we may read scriptures, but after studying 10, 20, 30, 40 years also, why no change comes about in us? Because we have been going to satsang for so long. Why people come and say, why there is no change? I have been doing japa, I have been doing studies of scriptures, I know this Gita by heart, but why there is no change? Two things. First, there is no intellectual conviction that what the scriptures or masters are talking about is about that divinity which is not other than me. And second thing is, so first thing, we must be absolutely convinced that the words of Krishna here are talking about the reality. The paths given, the techniques given, the methodologies given of contemplation. Arjuna did not do any one of them. All he did was become convinced that when Lord is speaking to me, it must be the truth. My experience may be otherwise, but He must be speaking the truth, so there is no doubt about questioning it. He is asking questions for clarification. He is not asking questions to disprove what Lord is saying. See? We ask questions because we got khujli. We ask questions because we are not convinced. He is convinced about the Lord. That what he speaks, it must be the truth. So, he is not doing any sadhana as such throughout the Bhagavad Gita. 3 hours it must have taken for the Lord to tell him, isn't it? At a good speed it takes 3 hours to chant it. So what did Arjuna do there? All he did was, he interacted with that information and made it his own. How do you make it your own? Mere intellectual conviction will not become an experience for you.
Right.
That's right. Faith. And that faith is deal with this information with bhava, with word emotion is incomplete, the word devotion is incomplete, but with bhava is bhava. So whatever you are convinced with, you can use the word faith, interact with it with deep faith, and a disposition that if I am so convinced about it, why has it not become my direct experience right now? That type of feeling, that type of disposition, it's not even a feeling. When this type of disposition, while studying scriptures, while talking to scriptures, while listening to scriptures, while chanting the name of the Lord, and that type of disposition, it clicks. And this is what has happened to Arjuna. It has kept clicking. And therefore, by the end of Bhagavad Gita, he says, I have got no doubt. Tell me what I have to do. He did not do pranayam, he did not do meditation, he did not sit there with a mala and doing japa and everything. He didn't do anything. Two things. First, become completely convinced that what is being told in Bhagavad Gita is the absolute truth. And then interact with it with deep, faithful disposition, that how do I make it, why is it not becoming my direct experience right now? What do I have to do? In that questioning itself, somewhere it will click. It will go and sit deep within your system, within your psyche. You have to interact with that, what you are convinced of, intensely. So, what was that? Mat chitta, mat gada prana. See? Mat gada prana is that every breath is reminding you of His presence in and through your daily living. It is because of Him that the breath is coming and going out, coming in and going out. See? Navadgata prana bodhayanta parasparam. Such is the knowledge that is gained by these people, by these devotees, again and again, parasparam, repeatedly. Meaning, as they are moving in and through their life, their continuous experience is not on what is seen, heard, touched, felt, etc., etc. It's not on the emotions, it's not on the convictions. All these are experiences which come and go. But where is their attention? On the divine theme, because of whom concepts are being formed, ideas are being formed, emotions are generated, the breath is coming in and going out, the action is taking place at the level of body. All the experiences that are experienced by the by the senses, everything is because of one principle, and that principle is their attention on. And what is that principle? The divine principle, the Lord Himself. Such people are they have gained knowledge in this manner, and again they expose themselves to that. Kathayantascha mamninta nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Kathayantascha, bodhayantaha and kathayantaha. Bodhayantaha is at the intellectual level and kathayanta is at the mental level. Who talks about the Lord? Who is still not convinced yet. Isn't it? If you are convinced, you don't have to say. And yet you can. I'm just jokingly saying that. But kathayantascha is, and they speak and they tell the stories of the Lord from at the level of mind. They tell the stories of the Lord with deep devotion. Why? That is the only theme anymore for them. Not interested in anything else. Mam nityam, about me. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Having this disposition, they are ever satisfied. They are ever contented. How will you become contented? Mere dispassion is enough. Mere vairagya is enough to be contented. नहीं ये क्या करना है, कुछ नहीं है. Just now I told someone at home that one girl is there in India. The call came that she's got been diagnosed with a cancer, a rare type of cancer, and she's got any time she could go. Tomorrow she could go in another 10-15 days, maybe 2 months. They don't know when. So this girl, she said, "My God, she was okay before." I said, "Yeah, she was okay. She still looks okay." But she's gone. She's going. Imagine what could be going on in her mind. That I got when I'm going to breathe my last. Any moment. And here we are collecting properties, collecting memories, collecting memorabilia, wanting to travel the whole world, wanting this experience, wanting that experience, thinking about children's future, thinking about investments, not knowing when death is going to come. And that too only, this experience is only limited to the waking state. We don't even think about the dream state and the deep sleep state. Only waking. उसी में फंसे हुए हैं. But who are these people? Such people, they are contented. When does contentment come? Think. I have spoken a few words. You tell when contentment comes. When do you feel contented?
When you're not desiring anything.
When you are not desiring anything, you feel contented.
When there is nothing else,
When there is nothing other, there is contentment.
When you focus inward,
When you focus inward, but can you remain focused inward all the time? Yes, for that moment you will be contented.
that's where the starting is.
It's good.
And then there are other things like desire. You have to just let things go and focus on the Lord.
Can you let go of anything in life?
Yes, if you don't think about it.
Do you think you think or thinking happens?
Thinking happens only if you get attached to it.
Correct. So while you feel that you are getting attached to, you have this propensity to get attached to the Lord. All letting go, growing out of, and what else? Dropping, detaching, all this happens not because we want it to happen. It happens by the grace of the divine. And you can, no doubt, you can do pranayam, your mind will be empty. I told you this before. But the moment you stop, everything will come back with a vengeance. So how do you bring about a sustained withdrawal from all that is attractive? Get attracted to the Lord. And it will not just be if it is merely blind belief. Faith is blind, no doubt. But as you come closer to the Lord, your mind is become focused on the Lord. Lord, who is Lord? He is the Mayapati. He is the master of the whole world. He is not, he is allowing the world to express, yet he is transcendental to the world. The whole world is in him, yet he is much more than the world. On such a person, you are focusing. On such a person, you have faith in, devotion in. And as you, to the exclusion of everything else, you don't decide, I'm going to exclude my mind from everything. All you do is just fall in love with the Lord. When you fall in love with your wife or your girlfriend or your child, you come to know more and more and more about that person, isn't it? You want to know more and more. And that child, you can't come to know. That just your attention on that child, that intensity of focus continuously, that child, that wife, that husband, they keep revealing themselves. Their personality, their character, their morals, their principles, their ethics, their habits, what they are all about, they keep revealing. It's a whole lifetime of learning, isn't it? Exactly the same way. The more you focus on the Lord, Lord will keep revealing himself. And what is his revelation? That the whole world is in me and yet I am transcendental to the whole world. This becomes the direct knowledge of such devotees. And when they see the whole world as nothing but the Lord, there is nothing to desire. There is absolute contentment. Tushyati. Ramanti. And thereafter they merely revel in this world without wanting anything, without running away from the world, neither running towards the world. See? But this is possible only by the grace of the Lord. So the more we focus on the Lord, the more we sing his glory, the more we contemplate on his nature, his being, to that extent, what Lord is all about will be revealed to you. And what is the Lord? The entire world is also nothing but divine. Right now our experience is not that. It's not that after Lord reveals you will forget, you will not see people, you will not see the air, you will not feel hot, you will not feel hungry. No, you will feel everything. Everything will go on normally from others' point of view. But inside you, the attention in and through everything is on that divine principle. See? Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Having said this, we come to the 10th verse today. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajata priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Now, this is what I just said is told in this verse, not in that verse, in this verse. But it's a natural progression. Tesham satata yuktanam, satata continuously, yuktanam yena kena prakarena, by any technique, any way, which way they can, continuously they sing my glory, they think about me, they contemplate upon me, they meditate upon me, they work for me, they think for me. Priti Purvakam, this is the second part. First was the intellectual part I told you, this is the Priti Purvakam, with love. When you are in love with someone, before that person desires something, wants something, the beloved comes to know, isn't it? In Vivek Chudamani, the qualities of a student come. The Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari and Adham Adhikari. Who is Adham Adhikari? You tell him something and he forgets. Who is Madhyam Adhikari? Madhyam Adhikari is Prarambha Shur. Very inspired. Yes, yes, what can I do? What can I do? I want to do, I want to do. Always in the front, front, front. And you give him something, but he needs continuous praise, he needs continuous reminder that you are doing well, and but he can get distracted very easily. If something more interesting comes along the way, you have a, yeah, can you get me a glass of water? Yes, yes, Swamiji, no problem, no problem. अब भी लेके आए. वहाँ पे गया. Then someone said, you know, तेरे को पता है क्या हो गया बाहर? वो पानी लाना भूल गया. He is lost in the storm. मध्यम अधिकारी. उत्तम अधिकारी, even before the one whom you love opens their mouth, you come to know what is needed, what is required. That synchronization of the minds comes about. The teacher doesn't need the synchronization. He is already synchronized. A master is already synchronized with the whole world. God is already synchronized with the whole world. He knows the whole world is in me, I am transcended, and I am transcended, and I am beyond the world. Isn't it? Who needs the synchronization? The devotee. Who needs the synchronization with the teacher? The student. See? So, Uttam Adhikari is that person who, what do you call it? Preempts what is needed, what is required by the teacher without, or even if the teacher asks, it's not a problem, but as the synchronization with the teacher's mind takes place, see, I'll give you, you heard of Eklavya? That was synchronization of all the abilities of Guru Dronacharya. Through the invoking it in the statue, Eklavya became a great archer, isn't it? No physical contact with the teacher. See? So here, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Priti purvakam. We must interact with what we want to know. Here, for example, Bhagavad Gita, we must interact with it priti purvakam. When you are chanting the name of the Lord, interact with it priti purvakam. What I was talking before as bhava, here it is told as priti purvakam. With love. And love, there are different intensities. Find out. Not find out. Reach the highest intensity where you don't remain as an individual. Isn't it? Then what happened? Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mapuyanti te. In the 10th verse, here he says, the Lord is saying, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. The Lord says, O Arjuna, tam, Arjuna, you, I will give you, dadami, I am going to give you. Aham tvam dadami. What I am going to give you? Buddhi yogam. Accusative. Okay. Dadami mein aham is included. Aham tam buddhi yogam dadami. I am going to give you buddhi, the secret of buddhi yoga. And Arjuna doesn't even know what buddhi yoga is. But the Lord, why is he wanting to reveal the buddhi yoga to him? Because of his love for the Lord. What is the climax of devotion? What is climax of devotion?
You get it even without asking.
Get what?
Like,
You come to know the secret of everything. You are able to express. Majority, see, there are many people. I'll tell you my example. My grandfather initiated me into Kundalini Yoga. I experienced final everything. But when I used to ask him what is happening to me, he could not explain it. I'm not saying he knew or he doesn't know, but he did not explain. He could not put it in words, or he didn't want to put it in words. I don't know. And that urge, maybe it was his trick so that I become more inquisitive. And today, all that, plus all other sadhanas that were done, today, the climax of it is Vedanta. It's not by fluke that you have found yourself being exposed to Vedanta. बहुत पापड़ बेले होंगे उसके बाद ही यहाँ पहुँचे हो, because it cannot be sussed, it cannot be understood by a common person. Just now my aunt has come and I said, I'm going to class. I said, so mummy is not coming? No, mummy is not coming because you are here. Oh, contemplating is very heavy for the head. I said, yeah, you stay here, don't come. You know? No, I don't mean, I said, no, I understand, it's okay. When does it become heavy? When does it become heavy?
You cannot relate with it.
Relation, you can relate. A husband can relate with wife, but load can keep increasing. When does it become heavy?
The mind is very unstable.
Mind, nature of mind is unstable.
Synchronization not there.
When you are not interacting with the information subjectively, that's when it becomes heavy. When it is only at the mental level, it's like you're carrying a big load of all the information. You are not able to connect the ends together, and frankly speaking, you cannot connect the ends together because the scriptural information is so huge, so vast, so many gods. What is the connection between all the pagal ho jayenge? So instead, you go to the one
He's a master.
in whom all this is existing. If he wants to reveal it, he will reveal it. If he doesn't want to, ignorance is bliss. Enjoy, isn't it? So here the Lord is saying, oh Arjuna, I feel like giving you the secret of Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi again, it is what? Intellect. It is not mind. The secret, how to think. This is, remember two verses before, the Avikampa Yoga came, the thought of Avikampa, unshakable yoga. Now in the previous Madgata Prana, here it said, Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. When a person is absolutely contented as he is, where he is, what he is, not, and ramanti cha, and he is reveling in as he is. Will he be shaken by anything in this world? Will he be shaken by highs and lows? Will his mind get agitated by hunger or thirst? Will his mind get agitated by honor and dishonor? Heat or cold, comfort or discomfort? No. Avikampa yoga. No amount of yoga and pranayam can bring you to that natural disposition. No amount of yoga and pranayam. Only by God's grace this is possible. And here in that, and he says, I will give you the Buddhi Yogam, the yoga of wisdom, by which all the devotees come to me. See? So who are these devotees and who are these devotees? One devotee is who think about the Lord, who think about the Vaikuntha, who think about the, Sarupya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, Saloka Mukti, different type of muktis are there, isn't it? Those who are looking for liberation. But here the Lord is saying that I'll give you that wisdom that you will find you have to, you will stop seeking liberation also. That is Buddhi Yoga. See? Stop seeking liberation. Why? You will come to know that you are ever liberated. And this, we may appreciate this thought what is just now told that we are ever liberated, but it has not become our direct experience and it is not expressing in our daily living. See? Now let's see what, with this, let's see what Jnaneshwar Maharaj says now. तया मगजे आम्ही काही द्यावे अर्जुना पाही ते ठाईची चतीही घेतली सेल. He says, for O Arjuna, of whatever gifts I wish to give them, they have already picked up the choicest one. Continuing, he says, काजे ते जिया वाटा निगाले गा सुभटा ते सोय पाहोनी अवहाटा स्वर्गापवर्ग म्हणवनिती जे प्रेम धरिले तेची आमुचे देणे उपाईले परी आम्ही द्यावे हेही केले तीहीची म्हणिपे आता यावरी ये तुले घडे जे तेची सुख आगळे वाढे आणि काळाची दृष्टी न पडे हे आम्हा करणे लळे याचिया बाळका किरीटी गवसणी करुनी स्नेहाचिया दिठी जैसी खेळता पाठोपाठी माऊली धावे ते जो जो खेळ दावी तो पुढे सोनयाचा करुनी ठेवी तैसी उपास्तीची पदवी पोषित मी जाये. Here he says, considering the highway which they have started to tread to come to me, heaven and liberation seem like bylanes. Now we are talking about whom? Those to whom? Those who are satata yuktanam, those who have practiced satata yuktanam, those who have practiced, what was the those who have practiced doing bhajan priti purvakam. Of such devotees the Lord is talking about, because to such devotees he is going to give them buddhi yoga, not to any Tom, Dick and Harry. Just because we have a temple in the house, just because we come to satsangs, just because I know Gita by heart, just because I can sit in meditation for 3 hours or 5 hours, that's not a qualification for getting buddhi yoga. Unless you are interacting with the Lord priti purvakam, with love. If you are sitting in meditation and in love with the self, then it's possibility. You are doing the chanting of the Lord name with love, then buddhi yogam is possible. Not doing mechanically. So here he says that these people have already selected the highway. They are not going by freeway. They are not going at 80 speed or 100 speed, they are 110 speed. And why? How do we know? The Lord is saying that they do not seek the experience of heaven, nor do they seek liberation. What will you liberate? Liberation is from something, isn't it? Right? You feel you are bound and you want to liberate yourself from the bondage so that you can be free from the bondage. That's how liberation word has, that will be the meaning of liberation. One side. And second side it will be that I want to liberate by merging into the divine. But what is the experience of these who are practicing priti purvakam, the yoga of wisdom? That everything is divine already. They just didn't know it. And how did it become revealed to them? By interacting with the Lord, priti purvakam. See? Satata yuktanam. Continuously. Not in the morning you are interacting with the Lord joyfully, in the evening joyfully, rest of the day, anger, greed, jealousy, nicely going on. No, not that way. Every moment of your existence. Every moment of your existence. So here Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, heaven and liberation seem like bylanes for them. They are not interested in that. The devotion which they bear me is my gift to them. This intensity of devotion, this satata yuktanam bhajatam, this priti, they do not take it as their offering to the Lord. This is another fine tuning in the devotee. The sadhana that he is doing, he does not feel that I have to chant the name of the Lord. He feels that the Lord is making him chant his name. He does not feel that he has to become intensely devoted to the Lord. He feels whatever the intensity is there, it is by the grace of the Lord. He does not take ownership of any damn thing. Everything is His grace. As a result, what happens? His attention is on the Lord, not on his ability, not on his capacity. See, whatever I wish to give them, they have already appropriated it. He said, I was about to give them the knowledge, but these fellows by this disposition, these devotees by this disposition, they have already got what I was going to give them. From from ocean's point of view, are all the waves in the ocean? Yes. So if ocean is Ishvara and Jiva is the wave, and if all the Jivas are in the Ishvara and Ishvara is Satchidanand Swarup, then are not the Jivas essentially Satchidanand Swarup? Are they not already free? Are they not already total? Are they not already free of the clutches of the creation? They are. And such devotees have come to realize. See, what we are studying is because we have got an itch in our intellect that we have to study. Same, all this knowledge gets revealed to a devotee. Satata Yuktanam gets revealed to a devotee. Think of few examples, recent examples. Ammachi has never gone to school. Ammachi has never studied scriptures. But listen to her speech. All scriptural statements coming out. Satya Sai Baba went to school till year 8 or 10, something like that. But never studied scriptures. But quoting left, right and center all the Upanishads and the Gita and the Ramayana. And one more pertinent example, two more. Take Ramana Maharishi. At age of 14, went to the Himalaya, went to the Arunachala, sat in meditation for 18 years, came to know, came to abide, came to be. And then he studied the language and the Tamil and the Sanskrit and composed so many things and studied so many things. But he got realized first. Take Ananda Mahima. You heard of Ananda Mahima? Go on Google, you can see her videos. Beautiful. देख के आनंद आ जाएगा. देख के आनंद आ जाएगा. Only a devotee of Lord, nothing else. No study scriptures, this, that, nothing. But speaking, read her books, read her transcripts of her speeches that she has given, reflecting all the knowledge of the Upanishads. कहाँ से? कैसे? This possibility is there in you, me, every one of us. Disposition is required. Readiness is required. The Lord is saying, whatever I wish to give them, they have already appropriated it. My only wish now is that this devotional love of theirs should go on increasing. The malignant glance of time should not fall on it. Meaning, their devotion, their intensity of devotion must keep on increasing, and eventually they go beyond time, space and objectivity. Is Brahmaji free of time, space and objectivity? No. He also has to become unmanifest. After one kalpa is 74 cycles of creation, the Chatur Yugas, that is his one day. Then for equal amount of time, he goes into unmanifested. He has to go back to his source. When he goes back, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh and all the Devis and all the gods and Indra, Bhagwan, Hanumanji, this, that, and all the gods, the avatars that they have taken, everything goes back to its source. Only to come back out again. See? This is happening to you every day. The whole world that you, as you know it, it goes back to its source the moment you go to sleep, isn't it? Imagine if it is happening at the individual level, then something different cannot happen at the totality level. The micro and the macro, the same principles apply. It cannot be a different experience. So here the Lord is saying, I want to increase. So if we go to heaven, rebirth is possible. If we go to Satyalok, yes, we will be disease free, we will be hunger free, we will be everything. You go to heavens or Satyalok, but eventually along with Brahmaji, you will go back to the source. You will become unmanifest. Lord wants you to be more than that. And what is that? He wants you to recognize that you are the all that there is. And for that, he is granting such devotees even more devotion. See? He says, so that he should not fall under the clutches of time, space and objectivity. Such a devotee has overcome objectivity and space. But time, time also has to be conquered. So here giving an example, he says, just as a doting mother follows its child at play whenever it goes and provides it with whatever toys it asked for, so it is my pleasure to increase the status of devotion for such a devotee. I keep giving him experiences in such a way that his intensity keeps increasing. Intensity of what? His intensity of devotion towards me keeps increasing. A most fantastic example of this is our gopis. Read the Bhagavatam. Throughout the journey, the intensity is just increasing and increasing and increasing. And they don't feel bad if they cry, they don't feel bad if they are jealous, they don't feel bad if they are angry. Because they know he only is making us feel that. He says if we didn't become jealous and Krishna did not go away from us, how will we have this even more intense feeling that we want to be one with him? See, in that also they are finding something positive only. They didn't sit there, oh my God, I became jealous of the other gopi, now what will happen to me and I'm doomed, nothing like that. Instead, they recognize their mistake and even taking that mistake as a propulsion force, they become even more intensely devoted to the Lord. And when they do that, Lord has got no choice but to come in front of them. They start running after him to look for him. Where has he gone? Then afterwards, in Brahmar Geet this comes. But they say, oh my God, we are making him run and he's going deeper into the bushes. He might get pricked, he might fall down, he might get hurt himself. Let's go back. Let's go back where he asked us to come. If he wants, he will come there. And they go there. And in the thinking of Lord Krishna, they forget who they were. One becomes the cow, another becomes the Shaktasur. They keep taking different roles. The whole Leela of the Lord from childhood till then, they start enacting between themselves unknowingly. It's because of their love for him. Someone becomes Krishna, then someone else becomes Krishna. The drama is going on. And eventually, when it reaches that intensity, the Lord appears. And what does he do after he comes back? Starts massaging them. Gives them a hug, wipes their tears, gives them a massage. And then he says this. He says, sometimes viraha increases the love. Viraha means separation increases the love. So never become permanent in someone's life all the time. Keep coming out and in and in and out all the time. Then what happens? Then they feel, oh, I missed you. Otherwise you are all the time there, nobody misses you. Even though you are there, isn't it? You go vanishing for 1 month, like your son does. Then mom says, oh my God, let me enjoy his presence while he is here before he goes on another journey. Swamiji comes here 1 month, 1 week in Melbourne, we enjoy his company. But if we had to stay here all the time, like I am, his classes will start dwindling after some time. Because we'll take it for granted. We'll say, oh, he's there all the time. That's the attitude. Then who will come to the class? Who will come to the satsang? Only those who are intensely wanting to be one with the Lord. Who are intensely wanting transformation within themselves. Who are seekers. Only they will come. So in this way, continuing the verses of the OVs of Jnaneshwar Maharaj, he says, Ziye padavice niposhake te mate pavati yatha sukhe he palati mazavishekhe avade karu paiga bhaktasi माझे कोड मजतयाचे अनन्य गतीची चाड काजे प्रेमळांचे सांकड आसुची आधरी घरी पाहे पा स्वर्ग मोक्ष उपाइले दोन्ही मार्ग तयाची वाहणी केले आम्ही अंगही शेखी वेचिले लक्ष्मी येसी परी आपण पेवीण जे एक तै तैसेची ते तैसेची सुख साजुक सप्रेमळा लागी देख ठेविले जतन हा ठयावरी किरीट आम्ही प्रेमळू घेवो आपण यासाठी या बोली बोली जत गोष्टी तैसिया नवहती गा. He says that I wish to increase especially those methods of worship by practicing which my devotees will find it easy to come to me. Since my devotees are attracted to me, I am also drawn to them because of their single-minded devotion. Have you ever tried single-mindedly thinking about something or someone? Have you tried? What happens?
Complete sinking happens.
What do you mean by complete sinking?
It's like, you become one, you become that.
Anyone else? कभी सोचा किसी के? Have you thought about anyone? intensely. No. No. If you think about intensely about someone that they should call you, they call you. Isn't it? If you intensely think about something that should happen, sometimes it happens. Depends upon your intensity and your disposition. I really wanted to meet that, and that person comes into your life within next few minutes or hours. See? Oh, someone should pay my home loan. Someone will come, don't worry. But the intensity is required. The bigger the home loan, the larger the intensity. No, it's true. Lord is saying, I'll give you all the experiences so that your intensity keeps increasing towards me. Yeah? So here he says, that that the devotees will find it easy to come to me. Since the devotees are attracted to me, I am also attracted to you. So whenever you think of something, you create space for that person, create space for that object, create space for that situation. The more you intensely, lovingly you interact with that, thing also manifests in your life. See? So here the Lord says, if you love me, I will love you back because my nature is love. Lord doesn't have to do anything special. But all you are doing is you are tapping into that infinite love that His nature is. And how do you tap into that infinite nature? By remembering Him with love. We chant 108 names of the Lord, we chant 1,000 names of the Lord, we chant Lalita Sahasranam, this Sahasranam, that Sahasranam. But you go here, everything is mechanical. It's question how quickly we finish it. We chant when Mahatmas come or some special occasion, na karmana, na prajaya dhanena. We say all these, but it's only lip service. We have never thought, na karmana, na prajaya dhanena, tyage nahi ke amritatva manashu. First line itself is saying immortality is gained not by karma, na prajaya, not by progeny, na dhanena, not by wealth. Tyage nahi ke, only by dispassion, immortality can be gained. And here we say it with great fervor. But what is its impact on our life? Nothing. So here the Lord says, since my devotees are attracted to me, I am also drawn to them because of their single-minded devotion. For loving devotees are rare in my abode. Those who are ananya bhakta, ananya, the otherwise, those who think about me to the exclusion of everything else, and not mechanically, with lots of priti purvakam. Satata yuktanam, bhajatam, priti purvakam. Such people are rare. Such people were the gopis. Such people were the Mahatmas. Are we in that category? If you go comparing, you will never get there. But if you see what is lacking in me, why am I not, Lord, why are you, not that I have to do something. Why Lord is not gracing me with that type of devotion? You cannot invoke devotion for the Lord. This is what he is saying. The devotees of the Lord don't even take their devotion to be their doing. They take it as the grace of the Lord. The love that they are expressing towards the Lord is not their love. They take that emotion that they are feeling towards the Lord also as the doing of the Lord alone, the grace of the Lord alone. So here he says, see, for the comfort of ordinary devotees, here he says now, for the ordinary devotees, I have earmarked the well-trodden paths of paradise and liberation, and I have allotted to them even my person with Goddess Lakshmi. So, Goddess Lakshmi is not other than the Lord. He says, I have appointed her. They want wealth, okay, ठीक है. कुबेर जी ठीक है. They want siddhis, ठीक है, सब मिल जाएगा. Go, do pranayam, do yoga, do kundalini abhyas, do kriya yoga, all siddhis will come. But if your attention is only on that, then you are lost. Who are these? These are the ordinary devotees. But I have set apart for my intimate devotees. Who are these intimate devotees? The previous verse told, Satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Such devotees. These are my intimate devotees. For them I have set apart. What have I set apart? Supreme bliss of self-knowledge I have set apart for them. Why? Because these devotees, they don't want heaven, they don't want liberation, they don't want anything from me. See the difference. O Arjuna, this way I love and keep my loving devotees close to me. This way I love the devotees and keep them close to me. What will be the best love? When that devotee realizes he is not other than the Lord without a thought, isn't it? Isn't it? That will be possible only by the yoga of wisdom. And this is that is what the yoga of self-knowledge. This is the special prasad that he has kept for such devotees. But it is beyond the power of words to describe this love. Because there is no difference between the beloved, the lover and the beloved. There is no difference. The love between Krishna and Radha or the Krishna and gopis were so intense from both sides that sometimes the gopis used to, in the Ras Leela, the gopis used to become Krishna and sometimes Krishna used to become the gopis. That intense surrender to each other. Krishna surrendered to the gopis. Why? Because the only theme they have in their mind is the Lord. And when that person, that gopi is thinking about him, the Lord is unable to stop himself but reciprocate. And in that divine dance, who is who? In that divine dance of the Atma and the mind, in that divine dance of Atma and the mind, who is who? Relatively speaking, mind is separate from the self. But if you understand a little bit, self with a touch of otherness is mind. That's all. Consciousness with a touch of otherness, sense of otherness is mind. Mind without thoughts is the self, is the consciousness. All this is told not to judge others. Otherwise, जाके अपना शुरू हो जाएंगे. अच्छा, I think you have reached till there. अभी भी बाकी है. सतत युक्ता नाम. Did not Gita say? Priti Purvakam. And you are interacting with me like this. I am not other than God. God is everything. I am also in that part of that everything. Priti Purvakam. We'll start demanding. No, all this is for our own self-analysis, for correcting our angle of interaction with the divine. Teshamevanukampartham ahama ज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. In the 11th verse he says, out of pure compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy the darkness born of ignorance with the shining lamp of wisdom. Darkness, sin, mind, delusion cannot be removed by your efforts. Ignorance cannot be removed by your efforts, because efforts themselves are a baby of ignorance. The efforts themselves are a product of ignorance. Speech itself is a product of ignorance. Thinking itself is a product of ignorance. How can thinking, how can words, how can actions remove ignorance, their mother? Cannot. Then who can? Someone who is beyond these three. Any efforts put at Manasa Vacha Kaya cannot remove the delusion. But when the same is applied towards the Lord, there is power. Understand, ignorance, delusion can be removed only by His grace. And how does He remove it? By entering into the hearts of the devotee. There's this story, isn't it? When Shivji gave boon to Bhasmasur. He says, you did so much tapasya, now a person has done so much tapasya, you have to give him a boon. Bhasmasur got the boon. He says, how do I know that I got this boon? I have to practice. And he says, let me put my hand on your head. Shivji ran. And running, suddenly Lord Vishnu came in his way. He says, why are you running, Shivji? He said, don't ask me, don't stop me, this fellow is coming. He did so much upasana, he did tapasya, I had to give him the boon, and now he wants to practice it on me only. I don't know where to hide. Where do you search the least? Within yourself. He says, go and enter his heart. He will not look for you there. And that's exactly the Lord has done to us also. He is there. But for the devotees, He is there and they know He is there. In us, He is there, but we don't know it. We are looking around for Him everywhere. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, म्हणव निमज भ्रात्म्याचा भावो जिही जियावया केला ठावो एकमी वाचूनी वावो ये रमानिले जिही तया तत्वज्ञा चोखटा दिवी पोतासाची सुभटा मग मीची होऊनी दिवटा पुढा पुढा चाले अज्ञानाची ये राती माझी तमाची मिळणी दाटती ते नाशूनी घाली परवती तया करी नित्योदयो ऐसे प्रेमळाचे प्रियोत्तमे बोलिले जेत पुरुषोत्तमे तेथ अर्जुन मनोधर्मे निवालो म्हणतसे हा होजी अवधारा भला केरू फेडिला संसारा जाहलो जननी जठर जोहरा वेगळा प्रभू. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, for those who have taken refuge in me and regard all else as trash through devotion, O great warrior, I light the torch of camphor and walk in front of them as their torch bearer even in broad daylight. For these devotees, I dispel the darkness of the night of primeval ignorance and bring them the dawning light of wisdom. When the Supreme Person, beloved of his devotees, spoke thus, then we will see what Arjuna says. So what is this here when he says, So what is this light? In yoga also we come across, when you reach a certain stage, suddenly the light comes. One student was there when we were studying, and he used to continuously see the light in his forehead. Continuously. Continuously there is a bright sun. He could not get away from it, and he asked Swamiji, what do I do? Is this what the self is? If he says, Swamiji said, if this was the self, then you won't be asking me the question, no? But it was not clicking, because the experience is so extraordinary. It happens as a result of purification, this thing happens. As a result of purification, if your mind is on the Lord will reveal and He will pervade your whole mind. Here, the light was pervading his whole mind. But what next? That is not the only answer. It is not it should not be an experience which comes and goes. See? Where are we? So the Lord says, the ignorance is not dispelled by your efforts. I enter into their hearts, and then the ignorance gets dispelled. See, in the Bhakti Shastra, how you are asked to meditate? Imagine a lotus flower in your heart, and in that lotus flower, you keep looking at the lotus flower. It is closed. You keep looking. It will open up. You will see all the stigmas there, and the pollens, and all the red. It's big, and you keep looking. You're thinking about the Lord, and you're looking in there, and then suddenly, after some time, could be one sitting, could be years, then suddenly the Lord, who is Chaturbhuj Bhagwan, wearing pitambar, etc., he is upside down, and he becomes straight. And then he reveals himself out of the stem of the flower. And the moment that thing happens to a devotee, all her ignorance will go away. Because can the presence of the Lord ever leave behind ignorance? Can ignorance exist in front of the Lord? Is it possible? If light is there, can darkness remain? It's not possible. See? And who is this devotee to whom the Lord has revealed his yoga wisdom? He is he who has come to, whose intense love for the Lord has brought about a disposition that whatever he sees here, at the sensory level, at the mental level, everything is the Lord alone. That is what he is experiencing. He is thinking, but his attention is on the divine theme, because of which thinking is possible. He is seeing, but his attention is on the divine theme, because of which the seeing is possible. He sees the objects of the world, eyes are seeing, ears are hearing, but his attention is on that divine theme which is expressing as the various stimuli. See? So he does not find himself divorced from the divinity any given moment. Can we say that conclusively about ourselves? Think. झी जन्मले पण आपुले हे आजी मिया ढोळा देखिले जीवित हाता चढले आवडतसे आजी आयुष्या उजवण जाहली माझी या दैवादशा उदयली जे वाक्य कृपा लागली दैविकेनी मुखे आता येणे वचन तेजा करे फिटले आतील वाहेरी रील अंधारे म्हणवनी देखतसे साचो कारे स्वरूप तुझे. The Lord says, no, Arjuna says, what does he say? Oh God, I have seen with my own eyes the meaning of my birth, and I feel as if I have acquired now the art of living. O Lord, I received the grace to hear from your own mouth your sacred utterance, and so have achieved the purpose of my life. Fortune has dawned upon me, and with the darkness of ignorance gone, in the light of your utterance, I have received the true vision of your being. See, here for Arjuna, the Lord is manifest in front of him, isn't it? The Lord is manifest in front of him. For how long the Lord was manifest in front of him? 83 years. Arjuna is younger than Krishna, few months or few years. But at the age of 83, and Krishna Bhagavan was 86. At the age of 83, after living such a long life, after hearing so many leelas of the Lord, having got the grace of the Lord at so many junctures of his life, still he never came to realize the divinity of the Lord, isn't it? But it was this moment in the Mahabharata war, in the middle of the battlefield, that he is coming to this conclusion that, Lord, I knew you for so many years. I knew you I heard about your leelas, but what I have heard, I have realized now. Why has that come about? Why is he realizing now? Because of his devotion to the Lord. Even though in the second chapter, beginning, he says that Shadhi Mam Tvam Prapannam, that I am surrendered to you, O Lord, I am your disciple. So please tell me. But saying I am surrendered at your feet, it took him 10 chapters. So much cajoling, so much change in vision. And because he was ready to surrender, so the Lord out of love started speaking to him. And he did not lose his disposition throughout the 10 chapters. And therefore, he has come to this point, come to this juncture in his life where he is seeing the reality of the Lord expressed in front of him. And what is that reality? That everything in life is happening due to his grace. What was Arjuna's problem? That if I kill so many people, what will I go to hell? How can I kill my nears and dears? What will happen to the social structure of the society? Everything was about I. And that's what took him into depression. Identity crisis. Now what is he realizing in this verse? He is realizing that there was never an identity crisis. To come to this point in your life that you are no longer divorced from the divine. Identity crisis comes when we are divorced from the divine. Where is the divine? Not other than the self. He's still not come to that point, but he's almost there. He's almost there. It will take another few chapters for the last bit remnants to be removed. But more or less 95%, 96% it is there. At least this feeling is first intellectual conviction. What is the intellectual conviction? That everything is taking place by His grace. This realization has come to Arjuna now, after so many chapters, so many verses. Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, the chapter on concentration and this and that, and chapter on death and chapter on next life and past life, and all that is been sorted out, and now he finds himself confident to say to the teacher, to the Lord in front, that now I have understood what your truth is. See? So beautiful. And this possibility of communication, see, we must not discuss these things or your sadhana with anyone in life. Today someone came. He said, Swamiji, can I come? I said, come when you want to come. He came at 11 o'clock. He says, 3 things I want to ask you. I said, what? Ask the third one first. So he says, oh, I was going to ask you something else. I said, now I told you, ask the third one first. Third one is, Swamiji, can you organize me a place in India where I can stay for 2 months? I said, done. For doing his sadhana. I said, second one. He says, I want to come to Kailash. I said, okay, done. First one. He says, this is what is happening to me in meditation, and I wanted to say, ask you, that am I going in the right direction or am I going in the wrong direction? Whom should you ask? You'll go and ask your wife. Acha, at night I was saying, she says, what? You did not think about me? You don't dream about me? How dare you? Kick. No, you have to ask. अभी एक और किस्सा आने वाला है. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, when? Saturday. Someone is going to come. It's very easy to, we think it is a very light topic, but we don't realize how much disservice we are doing to ourselves by talking about deep-seated things or something that is happening in your psyche with someone who does not understand, who can't even appreciate it. Better remain quiet. But when you share it with a teacher, when you share it with a master, when you share it with someone who is more knowledgeable than you, it could be anyone. If it is your husband, good, share it. But as long as he does not look at you with a judgmental eye, as long as he is not biased for or against you, then it is good. So we always look for a person who does not judge us, isn't it? Share that knowledge. With whatever your doubts are, you will only get what you need to hear. Because your disposition is more important there. This is what has happened to Arjuna. Even though he had taken the Lord for granted throughout his life as a mere friend, he has studied the scriptures, he has gone to Gurukul, he has studied the scriptures. But what is the impact of that knowledge? What is the experience of what he has studied? The Lord is revealing to him. See? Who is the manifestation of divine among us here? Who is the manifestation? You? No. You? No. You? He smiles. Why not? Every one of us. But do we have that vision? Do we have that courage to accept everyone as a manifestation of divine? Because to have that courage, something must have clicked inside, isn't it? By the grace. Gopis accepted everything and everyone as manifestation of the divine. As the divine. Sometimes when we use the word manifestation of the divine, means manifestation is separate to the manifestor. No, it is the divine. See? So live like that then, with no judgment, no comment, with no judgment, no comment, no biasness. Accept everyone as it is and have that loving disposition towards everyone. Loving doesn't mean hugging and kissing, it can be strictness also sometimes. She's experienced that. Huh? Because you are strict with your children doesn't mean that you don't love them. Think about it. So don't create any concept in your mind. Keep it open. Allow him to reveal. And this is what has happened to Arjuna. It's clicked suddenly by his grace. In the 12th verse, where are we? In the 12th verse, Arjuna Uvacha. Now, his realization, this click that has taken place within his heart. Why has it taken place? Because the disposition of Arjuna while interacting with the Lord and his words was Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. He is absolutely surrendered at the Lord. The sinking is reaching its climax. And in that as it is reaching the climax, suddenly this realization that everything is by his grace makes him come out with these words. He says, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. He is singing his glory of the Lord, what his understanding of the divinity is. He says, Param Brahma Paramam Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashwatam Divyam Adi Devamajam Vibhum. He says, you are the supreme creator, you are the supreme abode, you are the absolute purity itself, you are the supreme Purusha, you are the most auspicious, you are the most divine, and you are unborn and you are all pervading. And this is the realization that he has got about the Lord. Just like a small child, when a moment of extreme intense love for his mother comes, that child comes and hugs the mother and says, Mommy, you are the cutest, bestest mother of mine. I love you. And he doesn't know or she doesn't know how to express. All she can do is hug and either bite you or press the cheek against you or press your hands and some expression. Because words cannot, the child does not have the vocabulary to express the feeling that is there. Same thing with Arjuna. He is not a child. He is an 83-year-old youth. In those days, 83-year-old youth. And that this extreme feeling of love and blessedness and grace has erupted out of him as these words, as this recognition that this man who's standing in front of me, this Krishna whom I have known all my life as a friend, I knew he was great, I knew he had some extraordinary powers, I knew he had killed a lot of demons, I knew he is different from everyone else, but that he himself is the source of the whole creation. Wow! That recognition. Suddenly these words issue forth out of him. How beautiful. He says, Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, तरी होसी गातु परब्रह्म जेया महाभूता विसंवते धाम पवित्र तू परम जगन्नाथा तू परम देव दैवतति ही देवा तू पुरुष जी पंच विसावा दिव्य तू प्रकृति भावा पहिली कडील अनादि सिद्ध तू स्वामी जो ना कळिजसी जन्मधर्मी तो तू हे आम्ही जाणितले आता आहा तू या कालत्रयासी श्रुत्री तू जीव कळेची अधिष्ठात्री तू ब्रह्म कटाह धात्री हे कळले पुढे. He says, O Lord of the universe, you are the supreme Brahman, the haven of rest for all the gross elements, the holiest of the holy. You are the supreme deity of the triad of Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesha, the Purusha, the 25th principle, and also the being who is beyond Maya. O Lord, I know that you are existent since eternity and you are without such qualities as birth and decay. You are the supreme being who pulls the strings of the past, present and future times, the guardian deity of the individual cells and the support of the universe, Vibhum. So who is Param Brahma? Brahma is the creator. He is beyond Brahma. See? He is the existence itself. Param Dhama. So first is Param Brahma, existence. Param, what is the next one? Param Dhama. Where are we? Param Dhama is the abode where everything is maintained. The Chitta. Sat, Chit, Anand, isn't it? So Sat is Param Brahma. Param Dhama is the Chit. Param Pavitram is the Ananda. Ananda can express itself only where there is purity, there is no what you call dirt, and therefore Pavitra. There is no, and not even an iota of impurity in him, and therefore Param Bhavan. Therefore you are the most supreme, most being, O Lord. And in this way, the Arjuna is then Purusham Shashwatam. Who is Paramam Bhavan? Bhavan is used as a what do you call address. You are the Param. Who is the ultimate? The ultimate beyond Satchidanand Swarup or beyond Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So you are beyond the triad. You are the one because of whom the triad, meaning at the totality level, what do we understand as triad? Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. At the individual level, what do you understand the triad as? Experiencer, experienced and experiencing, seer, seen and seeing, hearer, heard and hearing, knower, known and knowing. Without this knowledge, the relative knowledge is not possible. So whether you take it at the micro level or at the macro level, which is the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, he says you are Purushottama, Purushottama, Uttama. What is the bestest of beings is Purushottama. He is not Indra, he is not Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, he is Purushottama, the best among all beings. And in this way, Purusham Shashwatam Divyam. And Purusham, these are the 9 qualities of the Lord that are being told. Purusham, you are the ultimate Purusha, the life principle itself, and you are Shashwatam, you are auspicious. Shashwat also means you are beginningless. Divyam, you are the divinity itself. Divya, there are many meanings of Divya. Divya means light, Divya means sporting, Divya, you are the one who is sporting in the whole world. You are the light with which everyone is able to see or perceive. You are the light in everyone's heart. You are that. Adideva Majam, Adideva, you are unborn, Ajam, Nirvikalpam Nirakara Rupam, unborn, therefore undying, and Vibhum, you are all pervading in this universe. There is no place that you are not. Imagine this type of a prayer, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. The wave is realizing, she is on the verge of a realization that she is water. But her attention is on the totality of the ocean, and she realizes, I am a part of the ocean, but I was thinking I have an independent existence. I was born because of my past sins, and I was going to die, and I got a purpose in life, and this and that. Suddenly the wave realizes, man, I am a part and parcel of this ocean, and ocean is ever complete, and I am also essentially ocean. And in that contemplation, that what is ocean gets revealed to her. Because her attention, when it is on the ocean, the individuality is not lifting its hood. It's melting away. The body identification is going away in that contemplation. And suddenly this revelation comes about. And she makes the prayer to the ocean. Param Brahma Paranga. So also Arjun. So also us. At this moment, realization, see, Vibhum, O ocean, you are all pervading. You can make that space, you are all pervading. If space is all pervading throughout this universe, not getting affected by the galaxies, not getting affected by the people, not getting affected by the sentient or the insentient beings, accommodating everyone, but not getting disturbed by anyone. Is it true? Agree? Then why not we contemplate on space at least? Think about it. But our insistence that this world is real, this body is real, what I see, hear, touch, feel, taste is real, what I think or I don't think is real, my my imaginations are real, my aspirations are real, my fears are real, and we get caught up in that loop and never able to come out. You can never come out of it by yourself. Only through devotion, surrender to the Lord, this is possible. Param Brahma Param, repeat after me. Param Brahma Param Dhama. Param Brahma Param Dhama. Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Purusham Shashvatam Divyam. Purusham Shashvatam Divyam. Adidevam Vibhum. Adidevam Vibhum. Param Brahma Param Dhama. Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Purusham Shashvatam Divyam. Adidevam Vibhum. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.